Hey everyone, welcome to the Bitcoin video for today. It is March 20th, 2020. I want to do a quick cover of Bitcoin, take a look at where we are currently at here, and of course, just give my opinion on the market. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, managing your own risk, doing your research. Okay, so taking a look here, we were kind of looking at this yesterday and we were talking about kind of waiting for some confirmations on, buying, selling, and whatnot. But I just kind of want to take a look at where we're at. So I created this green box yesterday during the video. I haven't changed it. And sure enough, we're sitting up here right now. Just a couple things that I want to discuss, and don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this. I do expect this to be a quick update since not a whole lot has changed since yesterday. So the first thing is that we're here, that we're sitting up here right now. And we were looking for an A, a B, and a C. We didn't know exactly where we would stop. Looked like we were going to stop up here at about 6,400, but obviously that didn't happen. So now we're taking a look for a potential move. Potentially we stopped just shy of 7,000, but we still have the potential that we could still come up here to about 7,300. So this green box is this area that I am interested in. And what I don't know is if this is a 1 that we are approaching up here, or if we are doing an ABC correction, in which case we move down lower. My main count has this as a 1, and we're going to come back down, potentially back down to 44 to 4,600. It's going to take time though. It's going to take time because it has taken time for our 12-hour to get up here into close to approaching overbought conditions. We are not quite there yet though. We're not quite there, and that's important to note. So the trend is still up short term, but I do think we're going to get a pullback, and I think that pullback is going to be for buying. That pullback is going to be for buying. So we had a good opportunity to buy back here on these lows. Even if you bought back here at like 5,800, even if you bought back here, you guys, when we had that same confluence. So even if you bought here and you had this long capitulation candle here, even if you bought back here, you're actually still in profit right now. So just be careful, especially with leverage trades, because if you were to have gone long at 5,800, even at even 2 or 3x leverage, there is potential you would have gotten liquidated here. So spot buys are okay. As I mentioned to everybody on the server, I did do some spot buys at 5,000. That's just my personal position. I have to be careful on what I say because YouTube is cracking down on this perceived financial advice. That's not what this is. I'm just giving my opinion here. But if you want to know my plays, I will outline those on the Discord server. But what we're starting to see here, we're starting to see some bearish divergence on the hourly. Okay, so we've got a high here, and then we have a higher high. But as far as our hourly stochastic goes, here is our first high, and now we're having another potential top start to create here. So very possible we're starting to see some bearish divergence on the hourly, which means short term. So possibly we're creating a shoulder and maybe a head, and then we're going to be creating another shoulder, and then we come back down to the median, which is going to be right back here at about 51 to 5,300. Very possible we come back here into this zone, and let's just go ahead and outline what this zone actually looks like. And I'm going to do this a little differently than I usually do. I'm going to use a fib channel, and I'm going to put the bottom of my channel about right here. So let's go ahead and pull this out. Okay, and then we've got the top of our channel. I'm going to put the top of the channel about right here. All right, so let's go ahead and format this in a way that looks nice. All right, so I'm going to keep the median. I'm going to remove my quarters. I don't really want to see my quarters right now. Okay, so the yellow line should be our top. Let me go ahead and make this a solid line just to make it a little easier to see. We've got our 0 range. And then we've got our top range. So these are going to be outlined in red. The green is going to be our median. Now let me remove the 0.25 and the negative 0.25. And instead of this being negative 0.5, let's just go ahead and do a 100% range expansion. So we're going to do a -1 there. That's going to pull ourselves down here to the bottom. And then we've also got, let's see, that's 1.5. That's going to be up there. We're going to change this to a 2. And let's see how this puts us. So we've got a decent range. I'm going to remove some of these levels so that it is easier for us to see this. So we have our median range, which I expect us to come back to. I expect us to come back to this, potentially get to the lower. And then, of course, we have this very way low down here at about 4,300, which we could come to. Again, this is all based on this little range that we have. If I turned on a volume profile, I'd be willing to bet. Let me see if I've got my volume profile on here. I'd be willing to bet, yeah, our point of control is right here at this median. So this is looking pretty good actually. So potentially we move ourselves up for another expansion to the upside. And so let's just see what that could look like. All right, so if I go for a 200% range expansion, we'll just outline this in white up here at the top. Right up here, the top here is very close to the 1236. This is at 72.25. So very possible we work our way up here to 72 to 7300. And you know, my guess, pretty good that that's going to be about it. I think that that'll probably be it. Then we are going to come down, work our way down here, get ourselves back to the median, potentially find this as support. So it is possible we do not go lower than 5,000 again. At least in the short term, because I do think we will go below 5,000. The question is when. Okay, I'm not going to try and count this because you know, we don't want to get caught in the weeds here. If we do break above 7,200, if we do break above 73.25 especially, then I do think the chances are very, very good that we're going to be moving up to 8,200. So not to scare people, because I know there are some people on the server that are in short positions. Don't want to scare you, but you've got to know when the trade is wrong. And the trade is wrong if we break above this 72 to 7,300 level, especially 7,300. Because if we break above that, then we are more than likely going to be testing this cluster up here. We're going to make our way up to 8,200. So, you know, I was talking a little bit about dollar cost averaging, being careful when you're doing dollar cost averaging. Because if you get into a trade and the trade goes against you, in my opinion, it is better to stop loss than it is to dollar cost average in the wrong direction. That's a good way to you know, to lose more, right? Because if you take a nibble, right, and I talk about nibbles on the stock market, I talk about nibbles here in crypto. If you take a nibble and it's wrong, it's better to stop and you can get back in, right? So take the stop loss and hop back in. So if you shorted, you know, let's say you shorted at like 5,500. Let's say you shorted here at 5,900 even, and it went against you. Well, you could get back in, or you could wait, right? You could wait and you could have gotten in closer to 68, 6,900. It's a better trade up here than it was back here, in my opinion. But at this point, you know, your level of invalidation is, you know, just you know, $300 instead of if you got in back here at say $5,600. Well, now you're looking at a $1,400 to $1,500 level of invalidation. That's a big loss. And again, it's better to stop loss and get back in than it is to do dollar cost average, just in my opinion. You know, you can take the trades however you'd like, but just be careful because you know, it does look like we created a little bit of a floor on the bottom of this box. Okay, bottom of this box is at about 6,100. So possible we do stop here at 6,100, we bounce a little bit to 6,400, and then we come back down. I do think we are going to revisit this range, but that's not going to change the fact that we can move higher before we move lower. Okay, so we've got trend lines that are important for us to pay attention to. Once we get to this, if we break this trend line, then I do think it is very good potential that we move down, right? But for the time being, the trend does look like very short term that we are going to see a little bit more upside. The fact that funding is still negative, the funding has been negative for a while, leads me to believe that we are going to see more upside. So I'm just exercise caution, because right now the algo is a buy. The algo is not a sell. But if you get this 1 hour, the 3 hour, and the 12 hour, all three of these in overbought conditions, and you get a solid sell on the algo, that's going to be a key indication that we are potentially topping short term. But again, look for a touch of this 1236, which is at about 73.25. Actually, let's go ahead and pull the prices on there so we can see the actual price attached to that, 73.13. So watch that, because you could see a push up to that 73.13, which could be an ending diagonal, so a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the 7,300 level, and then we see the rejection. We're going to have to wait for that to happen before we make a determination on what we're going to do with that trade. All right, guys, that's what I've got on Bitcoin right now. If this video did help you in any way, shape, or form, like, subscribe, share. If you want access to our Discord server, just throw in a comment. I'll be more than happy to get an invite code out to you. And wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a good day, good night, good evening, and hopefully you are staying healthy and staying safe out there. Take care, everyone.